Oh, so YouTube is gonna get the behind the scenes. All right, we're gonna get started here in just a minute. Send out an email to the list. Can I share my screen? Y'all can really see behind the scenes. I have to have someone go in and edit the YouTube so it doesn't have 5 minutes of silence. You see over my shoulder, or is it here? It's 8 p.m. where I am. When it hits the top of the hour, that's when we get started. So fast forward, well, that says 6. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We started. I love people that if you're early on time, you're on time, you're late. I love it. I love it. Let's do a quick mic check. Can you hear me okay? Just drop in the chat if you can hear me okay. Testing one, two, three. Hey, there we go. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Testing one, two, three. Can you hear me okay? All right, perfect. We got one more reminder going now. We're ready to rock and roll. So while we're waiting, I think we've crossed paths before. Tell me what you do. What part of the world you're in? Just drop in the chat. What do you do? What part of the world you're in? Okay, yeah, we have crossed paths then. All right. The top of the hour is Bruce Hill, New Skills, New You. Welcome to the Raise Your Revenue webinar. And you know what? I got to think of a new name, but I was challenged by my coach. Every coach should have a coach to go ahead and put out the knowledge I have to add the value that I have now and perfect it later. One of the best pieces of advice that I've ever received: you can't perfect what you haven't created. You can't perfect what you haven't created. So listen, as we go through here, I don't have slides. This is going to be interactive. It's going to be, I've taught this before. This is the first, only the second time I've done a webinar. So we're continuing to improve what's valuable to you. And so I appreciate your participation in the chat, so that we can add value that's specifically tailored to your needs to help you grow your business. So just a couple quick things. Since there's no slides, your pen and paper, that's going to be, I'll say that many, many times. Write this down. So the first thing I want to what's the word I'm looking for, to share with you, the same thing I'm practicing, is that somebody needs what you have to offer. Okay, somebody needs what you have to offer. So I'm going to write that down. And what's really interesting to me, I've met some amazing, amazing individuals, working professionals, entrepreneurs, small business owners, contractors, and they have so much to offer, but they're afraid to share it with the world. They're afraid that it's not ready, that it's not good enough, that it's not fill in the blank. And maybe you felt this way too. So that's where this raise of revenue is so important, because there's not going to be any gimmicks. There's not going to be any psychological manipulation. I don't teach any of that. You could go somewhere else for that. I want to help you grow your business while remaining your authentic self. Yes, yes. I want to help you grow your business while remaining your authentic self. So how do we do that? And I'm going to give you the big picture, and then we'll dive in deeper into the topic. So through this webinar, the takeaways are how to increase your self-confidence, how to increase your conversion. That means more people are telling you yes. And then, last but not least, how to properly raise your prices. Because we've heard that over and over again, right? Charge what you're worth, charge what you're worth. Well, what does that mean? Let me not get ahead of myself. And of course, at the end, you will have a chance to work with me if it's a good fit. If you say, hey, this is great, I need some more one on one attention, I need some more personalized help, I'll make sure you have an opportunity for that as well. All right. Are you ready? I've ready in the chat. We are going to jump right in. I get straight to the point. There's no need to be on here for 2, 3, 4 hours. Let's get you some actionable takeaways so you can put them into practice, so you can put them to use and raise your revenue sooner or later. So first things first, if it's been a while, if maybe you're watching the recording, I'm Bruce Hill, New Skills, New You. And our philosophy here is one new skill will change your life. That's something I strongly encourage you, everyone, to write down. One new skill will change your life. And so I teach sales skills to entrepreneurs. I teach them to hear yes more often without sounding salesy. Right? I help them increase their confidence, increase their revenue without spending a lot of time convincing people to work with them and more time serving their ideal client. Yes, yes. So if that sounds like you, you're in the right place. If you're just like, hey, I don't want to be a salesperson. That's not in my title, but I do want to grow my business. You are in the right place. And it starts with number one is self confidence. I think confidence is short, sweet, it rolls off the tongue. But really, we're talking about self confidence. So let's work on a definition first. Let's make sure we're talking about the same thing. Self confidence isn't being the best. Self confidence is not being the best. Self confidence is a clear understanding of who you are and who you are not. Self confidence is a clear understanding of who you are, not who you are compared to or who you are in relation to others. It's who you are, period. And what's really beautiful about self confidence, whether or not you've done something one time or 100 times, you still can have a level of self confidence. And I've heard, I was actually teaching this last week. They said, hey, I'll talk to more people, I'll tell more people about my business when I become more confident. When my self confidence grows, I'll be able to tell more people about my business. And what's amusing to me is actually happens in the reverse. Your self confidence grows the more that you practice that particular area, and it's transferable. So if you work on hosting webinars, for example, your self confidence grows because you know what? We'll get to the end of the 30 to 40 minutes and I'll check. I'm like, wow, I'm still here. I survived. I made it. And your self confidence grows a little bit. Your self confidence never has a chance to grow if you don't take that step forward, if you don't practice. It's like saying, hey, I'm going to go to the gym once I get stronger, right? It's like, hey, I'm going to go running once I get faster. It happens the other way around, right? You've got to start out a little bit closer to the bottom than some of us would like before we can make our way to the top. And as we progress, our self confidence grows. Any questions, comments, concerns right there? I want to keep this super simple. I want to keep this super simple. And we'll talk about what does this have to do with raising your revenue? So, perfect example. I'm getting ready for this webinar. Everyone has their own ritual, own routine, how they get ready. And so I went to the gym. I got to get a workout in. Of course, I took a shower. I listened to some jazz on the way into the office. I'm in the WeWork space. I put on some cologne, even though you can't smell it on the webinar, right? So, what do I need to do to feel good, to build my self confidence? So, I come in and pour in all of my energy into anyone who hears this today, tomorrow, or next year. So, what does your self confidence routine look like? And that's one of the things I work with. When we talk one on one, we shape it around your personality and we shape it around your strengths because what works for Bruce may not work for you. There's some general things I'm confident you can put into place. For example, self confidence. But how we approach that's got to be tailored to you. So, when you are getting ready to give a presentation, to onboard a new client. Maybe it's a discovery call. How are you mentally preparing for that call? How are you showing up in your most self confident version before that call? And the answer to this question is the first tip to raising your revenue. And what's challenging is sometimes we won't have those answers until we try. Sometimes we won't have those answers until we experiment. Sometimes we won't have those answers until a little trial and error. So, perfect example. I went back and forth between calling this webinar raise your revenue or increase your revenue. There's a small difference. Some people might like the alliteration, raise your revenue, right? It's a nice rolls off the tongue. But one of our words for this year is increase. One of our words for this year is increase. So if you're looking to increase in your life and business, put increase in the chat. Actually, I'm going to do that too because that's why I'm here. I know that the more value I add, the more increase in my life and the lives of others that I touch. And I have confidence in that because I've tested it first in my life and I've shared it with others. Shared it really in a small batch because that's how it goes. Self confidence starts small and then it grows. And now I'm like, okay, I'm ready to share it and record the webinars. Oh, goodness. Being on camera. I know that's a challenge for some people. but it didn't happen overnight. Self confidence comes from practice. That's the second thing. Self confidence comes from clarity, being able to answer, who am I? And it comes from practice because I know if I try it over and over and over again, I'm going to get better and better and better. It's very self defeating to assume that you're going to start off as an expert. That can be very damaging to your self confidence. If you try, think if you took a test, you take the test first time blind, you don't even know what the topic is, but mentally you say, oh, I'm already an expert. You don't have that clarity of where you're at, where your skill level is, and you fail the test. Well, does that mean you're an idiot? Does that mean you're stupid? No. That means that you didn't have enough practice. And that's what's beautiful about being an entrepreneur, about owning your own business, is you can have confidence in yourself that I'm not going to start out at the top. That can be very liberating. It can be very freeing. It can be very fulfilling. Knowing, hey, I'm not expected to start off at the top. But as you have successes in your life, those are your practice. Think about that test. Let's go back to the example. If you knew you had a test, you'd figure out what the topic was, right? You say, hey, what chapters do I need to study? You would do some practice questions. Maybe you do some study quizzes, right? Some mock exams, so that you go into that test prepared. Well, we want to do the same thing in our business, and it builds our self confidence. The best place to practice something is in your own life. Before you go share it with others, before I teach sales skills, I went and made some sales. Over the years, whew, I've had over 10,000 in person sales meetings, over 100,000 sales calls, and I've raised millions of dollars for other companies. And so now I want to help small businesses and entrepreneurs. So I have confidence, I have self confidence because I've practiced it. I've gone and tested it. I've studied for this test. So when you come along and you end up on my calendar and you tell me about your business, I'm confident that I can help you raise your revenue. Yes, yes. We could talk about confidence all day. That's a whole nother course. But the big picture is if you have clarity, who am I? Where am I at in business? What level am I? I don't have to start off the expert, but I know if I'm a level 4 sales trainer, if I'm a level 4 publisher, I can help people at level 1, 2, and 3, right? And the more people I help at those levels 1, 2, and 3, then you move up to level 5. Now you're helping up to 4. And you keep going up and up, and you become the expert by having that clarity, by having that practice. So the first thing to raise your revenue is have confidence. Because people that aren't confident, they're not going to share their magic with the world. If they have self doubt, if they're unsure, uncertain, they're not going to share their gift with the world. Self confidence is the first place to start because you give yourself an opportunity to add that value and increase your revenue when you have self confidence. All right. So type confidence in the chat. If we've covered that clearly and completely, type confidence in the chat. We'll keep moving. And this is a mental exercise. Even if you're listening to the recording from this, still participate because that's how it engages your memory. That's how it engages your mind so that you put it into practice. This is all well and good. All right, it's a Wednesday night. It's the original recording. All right, you're spending some time on a webinar. That's wonderful, but this really doesn't do you any good until you put it into practice. Okay. All right. Number 2, raise your conversions or increase your conversions. Now that we've worked on our self confidence, we've got our ritual, right? We wake up in the morning, we got a routine, we're getting ready. How do we get more people to tell us yes? This is one of my favorite topics because I don't want you to double the number of hours that you work in a day in order to double the number of new clients you work with. All right. I don't want you to double your hours to double the number of new clients you work with. The very simple, I say simple isn't always easy. The very simplest thing that you can do to hear yes more often is figure out why people tell you yes. This is so simple. This is so simple. When you go and you're looking at your calendar, you got a discovery call, it's coming up, it's in 15 minutes. you want to ask yourself, why would someone tell me yes? And what a lot of times, I'm guilty of this, is why I'm sharing it with you. I would go in and convince people, hey, you need to tell me yes because you need this because I think you should work with me. I want you to sign up. I want you to, and people would not, they didn't want to work with me. They thought I was belligerent, I was kind of pushy, that was kind of rude. People didn't want to work with me. And so now I'm teaching you the opposite, right? I want to teach you the right way to do it. When you get on that call, whether it's Zoom, email, text, phone, doesn't matter, in person, ask them, hey, what would us working together look like? Why would you decide to work with me? And that's such a simple question, but I promise you, if you ask this question enough times, it's going to raise your revenue. So check this out. Let's say you talk to 10 people in a week, and right now, two of them telling you yes on average. So two new clients a week. That's a good week, right? Instead of trying to talk to 20 people, right? Okay, so you agree. Well, awesome, awesome, awesome. Instead of trying to talk to 20 people, that's doubling our work. How can we take those 10 and get more of them to tell us yes? All right. So let me write down 5 steps to hear yes more often. Number one, we're going to ask the right people. Okay. We want to ask the right people. So for me, I teach sales skills to entrepreneurs. Well, if you're not an entrepreneur, we probably won't have a lot to talk about. We're asking people that can't tell us yes. It's like a bartender trying to work at a Chuck E. Cheese. That's not going to work. No one there can tell them yes. If you're a publisher, you want people that want to write a book. And that's so simple, but let's not miss the value in the simplicity. The first thing we got to figure out is even the right person for us to work with? Does it make sense? I grew up in the South. So, when it was time for dinner, it could be pork chops, right? It could be catfish, it could be greens, and it will have some pork fat in there. But if I'm talking to a vegan, it doesn't matter how delicious Auntie's food is, I'm talking to the wrong person. See how that works? Does that mean Auntie's food isn't delicious? No. If my auntie ever watches this, though, I love your cooking, Auntie. But we're asking the wrong person. All right. So let's see. What's another example? Oh, if you all are watching this, I don't know if you would just listen, but I've been growing my hair for about 8 years now. If you try to sell me a set of combs, I'm not the right person. Your combs could be handmade, handcrafted, black owned, woman owned company. That's wonderful. I'm not the right person. I can't use your combs. But let's say you try to sell me some shampoo. Okay, we could talk, right? No sulfates, no parabens, moisturizes, right? Doesn't dry my scalp. Hey, now I'm listening. So the first thing we can do when we're looking to hear yes, we're often not talking to more people. That's the brute force approach. It works. But let's work on being more efficient than just working harder. Are you talking to the right people? There's four more I'm going to get to real quickly. How do we identify the right people? So if you're asking yourself this question, Styles, welcome. Put in the chat where you're from and what you do, because I want these examples to be personal to you. One of the questions I like to ask is, why did you decide to speak with me? Why did you reach out? And I encourage you to ask that question yourself. Why are we talking right now? And that may seem a little rude, but the right people are going to say, "Oh, hey, I want to write a book. I need help publishing." Right? Or the right people will say, "Hey, Bruce, I'm talking to clients. I'm getting those phone calls. but they're not telling me yes. I need to work on my sales skills. Or in one of my favorites, I got a call and I said, "Hey, how can I help you? What do you need?" She said, "Oh, I need a housing voucher for my Section 8." I don't know how you got on my calendar. That is not something I help you with. It's a very short call. So we'll spend more time talking to the right people. We're going to spend more time hearing yes. So type in the right people in the chat. If you're with me, the number one thing we can do, first of all, is talk to the right people. And there's just a few more. There's just a few more. So next up, now that we've identified the right people, we want to give them the chance to say yes. That may not be today. I had a perfect example. I had a client um, last week and they hadn't filled out the invoice. They hadn't sent back the invoice. I'm like, hey, what happened? Well, their mom had passed away. Well, I'm not going to badger them and beat them over the head for putting everything else on the back burner to take care of their family. Of course not. But there's a lesson here. Sometimes it's just not the right moment for them to say yes. So here's the next thing. Here's the next step I have for you to hear yes to increase your conversion. So increase your conversion, you increase your revenue. Ask more often. What does I don't mean saying, hey, I talked to you 5 minutes ago. Are you ready? Hey, I talked to you 10 minutes ago. Are you ready? Hey, I talked to you 30 minutes ago. Are you ready? Please, please, please do not be that person. But sometimes if the timing's bad, we want to give that same person, because we've already figured out they're the right person. We want to give that same person another opportunity to tell us yes. That could be an email follow up, text message follow up, or even reaching out to them on Instagram. Say, hey, I talked to you 30 days ago. You're talking about writing your book. Where are you at? Hey, listen, you told me you're starting a new program in April and you wanted to get it full. How are you doing? Have you filled all the slots for your April camp? Right. And so they may have reached a point in time. They're like, man, you know what, Bruce? This is not working. You know what, Lisa? This is not working. I need some help. So we know they're the right person. We got to give them more chances to tell us yes. We're going to ask them more often. Number three. Oh, this one's my favorite. Ask better questions. Ask better questions. Type that one down. Ask better questions. And I'm gonna say it a couple times because if you don't do anything differently, excuse me, asking better questions is a great way to hear yes more often. So now those same 10 people, I'm asking better questions now. Instead of two telling me yes, maybe four telling me yes, or five are telling me yes. I'm giving them more chances to tell me yes, and I'm asking them better questions. What does that sound like? It doesn't sound like begging. Oh, please, please, please sign up for my program. It doesn't sound like convincing. You got to do this right now, or your life's gonna fall apart. No, we're not gonna emotionally blackmail people. Asking better questions is something in one-on-one we'll dive deeper. But asking better questions is very simply using open-ended questions. Is anybody familiar with open-ended questions? It's not a trick, not a trick. I want to make sure we're all very clear. Those are questions that cannot be simply answered with yes or no. Those are questions that have to be answered with at least a sentence, unless someone's just being cantankerous, right? They're being ornery. They start with who, what, where, when, why, or how. And what I found is when we ask better questions, guess what? We get better answers. When we ask better questions, you get better answers. That's so simple. And listen, I told you that when we started. Everything I'm teaching you is so simple, but if you put it in practice consistently, you're going to raise your revenue. I can do everything but guarantee it. If you're talking to the right people, we're going to ask them more often. We're going to give them more chances to tell us yes. We're going to ask them better questions. We're going to say, hey, what does success look like for you? How can I help you win? Where do you want to be 90 days from now? What's holding you back? Now they've got to think. Now they've really got to wonder, like, well, you know what? Success looks like not not staying on the phone for an hour just for someone to tell me no, right? Success looks like being able to predict if I have 10 calls, I know I'm going to have at least three people tell me yes. 30% conversion rate, right? I want to say when a client says, man, look, 90 days from now, I really want to have a hard copy book in my hands. Now, maybe you set some expectations. Hey, you know, it's going to take 4 months. Or maybe that's a great time for you to say, look, we can get it done in 30 days, right? When you ask better questions, you're going to get better answers. That lets you shine. Now we take all our self confidence that we've been practicing. We say, hey, you know what? Great news, Bruce. I can help you do that. Now your confidence comes off in the conversation. Now your confidence comes off to the client. Now they're excited to work with you. And remember, I told you self confidence is transferable. If you're confident in you, they can be confident in you. They can never be more confident in you are in yourself. And we're going to transmit that self confidence by asking them better questions. Now, what happens if they say no? We don't have time to cover that here, but here's one very simple secret. Ask them another question. If they say anything that isn't yes, right? Oh, I have to think about it, I have to sleep on it, oh, maybe later. They say anything other than yes. There's two questions. I'll give these to y'all. No extra charge. There's two questions I want you to ask. You could pick either or and figure out which works best for you. So ask them, write this one down. Is it the price? Is it the program? Or is it something else? Is it the price? Is it the program? Or is it something else? This is what I'm talking about asking better questions. Because now they say, "Oh, it's the price." We can deal with that. That's something we work on in I think it's week 4 in our program. If they say, "Oh, it's the program," this we go this way. If it's something else, take notes because this is something you need to work on in your copy, in your emails, or in your landing page. That question has made me so much money, got so much clients, and it's changed so many lives. Because sometimes what happens is, you know what, Bruce, I don't actually, it's nothing. Let's get started. Sometimes it's something so simple, right? They thought it was going to take 6 months and really only takes 90 days. They're like, oh, that's great. Let's get started. All right, where were we? Ask the right people, ask more often, ask better questions. Oh, goodness gracious. I love this one. I promised you two questions. I almost forgot. What's your hesitation? What's your hesitation? And then you shut up, you close your mouth, and you wait for an answer. And they'll tell you. They will absolutely tell you. If they say there's no hesitation, well, you say, well, if that were true, you'd be ready to get started, correct? And they'll say, well, no, I'm not ready to get started just yet. Okay. Well, tell me what's on your mind. What's your hesitation? And make sure they answer. And what's so important about that is you're starting to understand better, is this the right person? And you might uncover through that question that it isn't the right person all along. It's fine. No hard feelings. That brings me to number 4. That brings me to number 4 of how to increase our conversion, increase our revenue, is ask for a referral. How many of you are asking for a referral? I'll admit I forget sometimes. I actually have it in my email sequences to remind them in case I forget. What's very interesting is I've had more referrals from people that did not do business with me. Now, I do my best to provide outstanding service. So the folks that do work with me, they leave me 5 stars, they leave me a testimonial, and they'll refer. But it's something very interesting. The folks that tell me no give me more referrals. I'm not sure why that is. I'll take it though. So what's very interesting is, remember I told you you talked to 10 people, right? Maybe right now 2 are telling you yes, and now we're working on getting that to 4 or even 5. Well, now you're hearing yes from 11 people. You only talk to 10, right? That's the power of a referral. You're connected to the right person, and you don't have to go looking for them. The whole point, and if you saw the email, was not for you to work more hours. The whole point was not to double the number of hours in a day that you're working. So referral is a huge way to leverage that conversation. Even if they don't tell you no, they can connect you to someone that might. Now, number 5, it is actually asking more people. It really is just asking more people. So like, let's say you're talking to 10 people and two of them are telling you yes on average. Well, if I want to hear yes from four people, I could talk to 20, right? Two out of 10, four out of 20. Now, I don't like that one because again, I just said, hey, we're not trying to work more hours, right? But it lets you get more reps in. It lets you get more practice in. And remember what we talked about earlier. More practice increases your self confidence. So what happens over time is now I'm back down to 10 and I'm hearing yes from four people. So there may be a little learning curve, there may be a little hump, but it's absolutely worth it. I don't want to make a habit of you working harder to help more clients. The only amount of increase in your busyness should be from more people telling you yes. Right? I don't want to spend a whole lot of time chasing down people. I don't want to spend a whole lot of time on the phone convincing people. And I even teach a simple 5-step process so we can get from interested to invoice in less than 15 minutes. Right? But you can only cover so much in one webinar. We're rocking and we're rolling. If y'all with me, go say hey, yes, yes. If you're still with me, say yes, yes. I love it. I love it. I love it. So increase our revenue, we're increasing our confidence, we're increasing our conversion, and last but not least, we're increasing our prices. Ooh, we're increasing. Now, you can literally make up any number you want. If you're a service-based business, okay? If you're a service-based business, you can literally make up any number you want. And there is someone who will pay it. Mhm. Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, here's what you need to be aware of: the higher your price, the harder it is to find someone who will pay it. They're out there, but it may be more difficult to find them. Now, in the reverse order, you'll say, well, I'll just lower my price and I can find more people. You, you don't want to become a commodity. Very few people thrive off a lower price strategy. I don't want you to be Walmart. I want you to be Target. I want you to attract, what did we say earlier? The right people. So write this down, write this down, write this down. The bottom line, when we're setting our prices, there's four simple steps. The bottom line is your cost. The bottom line is your cost. What does that mean? That's cost of materials, that's cost for staff, that's cost for your time. And when you say, well, I work for myself, Bruce, how much is my time worth? Well, honestly, I will calculate it. If you do this 40 hours a week, is it going to cover your bills? That's the bare minimum. We're not going to stay there. But if you're below that number, you already know you got the wrong price. Already know you got the wrong price. So throw in the chat cost. That's where we start. We know that we're not going below this number. I work with service-based businesses that are focused on serving their clients more than they are making money. I don't want money to be something to worry about. There's nothing more annoying than chasing down someone for a little $1,000 or $500 and you're doing 20, 30, 40 hours of work. That's ridiculous. If I wanted to do that, I would just go get a job. Well, what I found is the higher our price, the higher quality of client we work with. The higher the price, the higher the quality of client we work with. And that's a very beautiful place to be. We want clients that respond quickly. We want clients that complete the assignments that we hand out for them. We want clients that give us feedback. We want clients that give us referrals. And I'll tell you what, these are the clients that come back. They're like, man, what's next? How can I work with you again? That's what we want more. So when we talk, you know what, I think I will change this to increase. Instead of raise, because that's got a nice ring to it. I want to increase in quality of clients, increase in reviews and testimonials, 5-star reviews. Yeah, yeah, I think we're gonna do that. Thank you. So we already have the bottom as a cost. The next up, type in the chat is market. The next up is market. So what does that mean? What are other businesses, other professionals charging for a similar service? Now, we want to be very careful. We don't want to compare ourselves to other people. This is for research only. This is a reference point. So I know, let's see, what's a good example? What's a good example? let's just use gas. Right now, where I'm at, gas is between 4 and 4.50. Okay, 450 a gallon. All right. So I know if the place across the street is 450, I should be around 450, right? Maybe 449, just to be that person. I know that around town, everyone's within 4 or 5 cents of each other. That's what I'm talking about doing research. Here's where here's where we gain our increase. Here's where we gain our increase. So I know that's the benchmark. I can confidently sell a similar product for a similar price. Now, what happens when we have a similar product, a similar price? We make the decision to work with us more difficult. We make the decision to work with us more difficult if they can't distinguish any differentiation. They all look the same, so it doesn't matter which one I choose. You might just get lucky someone happens to choose you. Or they'll say, oh, this one's a little bit cheaper. This one's 2 cents cheaper. I'm going to go over here. We don't want those people anyway. We don't want people worried about 2 cents. So here's what you do. You say, hey, listen, I'm going to charge 5 cents more a gallon for my, but I'm going to have someone come out and wipe your tires. And I live in Atlanta, Georgia. So if you live down this way, you know your car is probably green in the morning from all the pollen. Say, hey, what if we rinsed off people's cars while they're inside, getting their snacks and their drinks? What if we washed their windshield? What if someone else pumped their gas for them? So this is the next concept when we're choosing our price is value. So type value in the chat. This is at the top. So we've got cost, we got market, we got value. You should be somewhere in between market and your value. Value is what they get, cost is what they pay. Perfect example. I work with a client, wonderful young lady doing what do you call that? Content creation and like social media management. And she wanted to charge $1,000 for 3 months. I said, no, 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 no. We're going to charge $1,000 a month, and we're going to ask them how many months they want. So you see her eyes get big. But remember, I talked about having the right people. They take action. So she did it. She sent the proposal. She said, hey, it's $1,000 a month. How many months do you want? They said, oh, we want 3 months. She said, fantastic. And how we set it up was you got a weekly check-in, you got templates, you got emails, and you got 3 different social media platforms. So instead of lowering her price, we increased the value. Oh yeah, we got to change it to increase. We got to change it to increase. We increase the value. So now it just makes sense. Man, we get all this and it's just 1,000 a month. That's how we want people to think. That's how we want people to view our product. Yes, it is. People are like, why are you going over there? It's 5 cents more a gallon. Oh no, you gotta go over here. You get that white glove service over here. You get that concierge service over here. And what's really beautiful is because you're making more per client, you can give them more attention. You can have less clients and make more money. You can have fewer headaches, hopefully zero. Well, there's always one. And you can still increase your revenue, giving you more time, energy, and attention for those individuals. Now they're impressed, they're blown away, they're ecstatic, and this is wonderful. This has been the best experience I've had. And they're happy about paying you more money because there's more value. Value is what they get, cost is what they pay. The value should always be higher than the cost. There's a quote, I'm going to mess it up. We're going to wrap up here. He said, there's no benefit in being the second lowest price, but there's a huge competitive advantage of being the most expensive. There's no competitive advantage of being the second lowest. Someone's always going to try and undercut you, right? But there's a huge competitive advantage of being the most expensive. I want you to have a competitive advantage. I want you to experience increase all 2022. So we want to increase our price. But along with that, we should increase our value. So one of the things I do is to say, hey, listen, we'll have our one-on-one calls, but you also have access to the chat so you can ask any sales questions during the week. You'll also have access to the recordings. And anytime I do a workshop, which I do about once a month, you'll have a free access to the workshop from being part of the coaching program, right? So I add more value so it just makes sense. Yeah, absolutely. If I'm going to learn how to hear yes more often, if I'm going to learn how to implement these techniques, why wouldn't I get all of this value at this cost? Because we can keep the cost at the market rate and add more value, and it makes it easy for people to choose working with us. So now I'm not convincing people to work with me. I show them all the value and I give them opportunity. I give them a choice. Hey, is this get you closer to your goals? Does this get you closer to the success you told me about earlier in the conversation? And they're going to say, yes. How do I get started? Where do I sign? What's next? That's what I want for you. I want increase all 2022. Type in the chat increase for me. So let's go a quick recap and I'll get any questions. Self-confidence, increasing your self-confidence is the first step towards increase. No one is going to have more confidence in you than you do in yourself, not your clients. Maybe someone who loves you and they've known you for years, but I'm talking about your clients. The next way to increase is to increase the number of people that tell you yes. We can, and my goal is you talk to the same number of people, just hear yes more often. But if we need to, we'll talk to more people. That's plan B though. And last but not least, we're going to increase our value and increase our prices. Grant Cardone, one of my favorite concepts, he says, never, ever, ever lower your prices. Increase your value. So if someone asks for a discount, you say, you know what, Bruce, I appreciate that you asked. I love people that ask. No, that is the price. What I will do for you, I'm going to throw in some of my digital courses. I'll throw in 3 digital courses valued at $197 each. You get it started today. You ask for something, I'm going to ask for something. And that's something we'll go into if we work together. So now my self-confidence, hearing yes more often, I've increased my value. So I've increased my prices. I've increased the quality of my clients. Life is good. My heart is full. I'm full of gratitude. I'm energetic. I'm excited to work with the next appointment comes up. Man, I can't wait. That's what I want for you. So if you're looking for increasing your business, I'd love the opportunity to help you do that. And we're going to make it super easy. We're going to make it super easy. You can visit brucehill.online and just have a free discovery call. Take 15 minutes to talk about what you need. And if I can help you get there, give you the opportunity to work with me. Simple. brucehill.online, just choose the discovery call. Pick a time that works for you on a calendar. We'll hop on a Zoom and we'll say, hey, how can I help you reach your goals? Right? The same questions I taught you, you're going to hear me say. What success are you looking to achieve and how can I help you get there? All right. Before I wrap up, that's all for me. Do you have any questions? I appreciate your present participation. And it's always great to catch these live so you can ask questions. But if you're catching a replay, you still have the opportunity to work with me. It's Bruce Hill down online. Our free discovery calls. See how can we implement what we've learned today in your business. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Well, the quote, Coach K says, if all hearts and minds are clear, thank you for the opportunity to serve. Thank you for your presence and participation. My name is Bruce Hill. New skills, new you. Until we meet again. Cheers to your success. Cheers to your